This is CIA Scariest Cyberweapon.
Natanz, Iran. Here, buried 26 feet
Iran.
underground and shielded by 8-foot concrete walls, lies a top-secret uranium enrichment facility. At its core are rows upon rows of gas centrifuges. They are all interconnected by a maze of pipes. Gaseous uranium is pushed through the system in several stages. The centrifuges spin at dizzying speeds, which separates uranium isotopes based on their weight. The heavier atoms are gradually pushed towards the outer edges, while the lighter atoms
So
concentrate
why are they doing this
in the
actually?
center. That's the enrichment. When this enriched uranium is later split, enormous amounts of energy are released. Enriched uranium is the key ingredient
Engine is using nuclear
to nuclear
warhead.
power plants,
Yep.
or to the deadliest weapon mankind has ever seen. But lately, something's been off. In the past few weeks, centrifuges have been breaking down at an alarming rate. Sure, it's normal to replace them every now and then, but this level of failure is beyond anything the Iranian scientists can explain, especially since the control panels and system logs show nothing out of the ordinary. The nuclear engineers are baffled. Could their systems somehow have been sabotaged? Impossible. The facility is completely air-gapped, hermetically sealed off from the internet, and physically disconnected from the outside world. It's perfectly protected from foreign intelligence services like the CIA. There's no way that anybody could get into these systems, right?
We have an offline hacker. And this is actual intro of the movie.
This video is partly based on the great book Countdown to Zero Day. You'll find a link in the description. Sergey Ulysin and Oleg Kupriv work for a small cybersecurity firm in Minsk, Belarus. Right now, they're remotely troubleshooting some computers for an Iranian client. The PCs are acting up, constantly crashing
They're using Windows 7.
and rebooting. They dig through the systems, searching for the root cause, and eventually they find something. A malware. But this isn't your typical run-of-the-mill virus. This thing feels different. It's incredibly sophisticated, unlike anything they've ever seen. It appears to be exploiting a zero-day vulnerability. That's a previously unknown flaw in an operating system or software program. A zero-day exploit is insanely powerful because, as long as it stays undetected and unpatched by developers, it can be used indefinitely. And the more critical the breach, the more systems can be hacked or infected. 0 days are the holy grail of hacking. Ulysin and Kupriv are stunned, and quite frankly, a bit intimidated. This was not the work of amateurs. Whatever they're looking at reeks of top-tier expertise. The malware turns out to be a highly complex computer worm. It can replicate itself and somehow stay undetected while slipping into the most heavily secured Windows systems. Alarmed, Ulysin and Kupriv email Microsoft to report their troubling discovery, but oddly enough, they get no response. 2 weeks later, they decide to go public.
Classic Microsoft.
On July 12, 2010, Ulysin posts a warning on his employer's website in an English-speaking online security forum. He shares what they found out about the malware and issues an urgent alert. But the warning comes too late. The worm has already spread far and wide, infecting over 100,000 computers across more than 100 countries. Among them, Indonesia, India, Azerbaijan, Pakistan, Malaysia, and the US. But most of all, Iran. The news about the powerful computer worm spreads like wildfire. Whispers ripple through the tech world, and soon the software earns its now infamous name. From 2 file names buried in the malicious code, .stub and mrxnet.sys, a moniker is born. Stuxnet.
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 Microsoft announces a patch.
And there's something called SRC2, right?
It says they must have missed Ulysin's mail. Cybersecurity experts worldwide are scratching their heads. They begin dissecting Stuxnet's code and end up taking months to piece its secrets together. Slowly but surely, they realize Stuxnet doesn't use just one zero-day exploit. It uses 4. The main file of Stuxnet is unusually large for a computer worm, 600 kilobytes. For comparison, the worm Conficker, which infected an estimated 6 million systems in the late 2000s, was only 35 kilobytes. So what exactly is Stuxnet doing when it infects a system? And most importantly, why? We hope that you will learn something over the course of this video, not like back in school. Think unbearably boring lessons on some subject that could actually be interesting. We try with some powerful new habits. The rootkit. Rootkits are collections of tools designed to hold suspicious processes and activities. This allows the malware to remain undetected. Stuxnet's rootkit operates at the kernel level. It can conceal its presence while taking complete control of the infected computer, even altering core functions of its operating system. The worm specifically targets Windows
So
systems
it's gonna level more protected or
and exploits legitimate digital certificates from trusted companies like Realtek Semiconductor and Microsoft. These certificates are essentially stamps of approval that software manufacturers use to verify their programs as safe. By leveraging these certificates, the attackers can bypass a lot of security measurements. Ultimately, one expert notices something extremely odd. Stuxnet seems to only activate on systems running a specific software called Siemens Step 7. On all other systems, the worm does nothing except spread further. The Siemens software is part of an industrial control system designed to work with so-called programmable logic controllers. These devices are widely used in industrial settings to control machines. The whole thing just got even more mysterious. Cybersecurity experts continue dissecting Stuxnet. They uncover that the malware has been active since June 2009, creeping through systems for an entire year before anyone noticed. During this time, Stuxnet appears to have launched 3 distinct waves of attack, the first in June 2009, followed by 2 more in March and April 2010. With each wave, the code was slightly tweaked, most likely to render the malware even more aggressive. There are very few entities in the world who could pull this off. And there's one more detail. Stuxnet isn't just attacking any random computer running the Siemens software. It's originally tailored to strike in one specific country.
yeah, I mean, why would you want a particular computer?
Whatever Stuxnet
Random ass computer.
is after, it must be worth the enormous amount of effort put into this worm. It must be industrial in nature, and it must be located in Iran. In 2002, an Iranian resistance group exposes the existence of 2 top-secret nuclear facilities in Iran, a heavy water plant in Iraq, and a uranium enrichment facility in Natanz. Why does Iran suddenly need so much uranium? Alarm bells go off in the West. Could Iran be working on nuclear weapons? This would violate the Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT. That's an agreement signed by the international community in 1968 to prevent the spread of nukes and promote disarmament. Iran appears to be willingly breaking the NPT. The country was supposed to report the facilities to the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, but it didn't. The body is responsible for monitoring nuclear activities and preventing the development of nuclear weapons. 1 year after the Natanz site is uncovered, the IAEA sends a team of investigators. The Iranian leadership tries to calm things down, insisting the uranium will be used for peaceful purposes only, to produce nuclear energy.
Yeah, surely that.
But when the IAEA investigators get to Natanz, they collect environmental samples and find traces of highly enriched uranium. Uh-oh. This discovery sets off a chain reaction. The IAEA starts conducting regular inspections at the facility. The UN Security Council imposes economic sanctions. Years of tense negotiations ensue. Iran's nuclear ambitions cross a red line for many countries, especially for Israel and the US. Once allies, Washington and Tehran became bitter enemies after the Islamic Revolution in the 1970s. Meanwhile, Iran has openly positioned itself as Israel's nemesis and directly finances numerous anti-Israeli terrorist organizations. The stakes are clear. Israel and the US are determined to stop Iran's rise to nuclear power by any means necessary. In 2006, then-President George W. Bush is briefed on a top-secret plan. The CIA has come up with a strategy to sabotage Iran's nuclear program. Working closely with Israeli cyber intelligence, they begin crafting a sophisticated digital weapon. The project is continued under Barack Obama. Its codename, Operation Olympic Games. Quick note, the following part of the story is based on this report by Dutch investigative journalist Huip Mulderkolk. While we cannot fully verify the events independently, they do align with earlier investigations made by other journalists. It's 2007. The CIA is making significant progress on Operation Olympic Games. They've even built a massive replica of Iran's nuclear facility deep in the forests of Tennessee to understand how to sabotage the plant without detection. But they have a major problem. They can't send their own agents to infiltrate the high-security facility at Natanz. So they turn to an ally, the Dutch intelligence service MIVD. The plan for the covert operation
So this all done by the CIA, the viruses
laid
and
out
all.
during a meeting between CIA Director Michael Hayden and senior MIVD officials. Enter Eric von Sabbe, a Dutch engineer living in Dubai. He works there for a transportation company. He's also an asset for the Dutch Secret Service. And now he's given what will be the final mission of his life. Von Sabbe is to install water pumps at the Natanz plant. According to CIA Director Hayden, these pumps contain a technical masterpiece. Later that same year, von Sabbe makes his way into Natanz and goes to work. How exactly he gains access remains a mystery, but he gets the job done. Von Sabbe successfully smuggles one of the most powerful cyberweapons ever created into a heavily secured and isolated underground nuclear facility. 2 years later, in 2009, he dies tragically in a motorcycle accident in Dubai. There are no indications of foul play.
Yeah, just an accident, huh?
Once Stuxnet is inside the systems at Natanz, the malware gets to work. But somehow it's not effective yet. So the CIA doubles down, creating updated versions of Stuxnet in June 2009 and again in 2010. The iterations are faster, more aggressive, and capable of spreading across systems more efficiently, wreaking even greater havoc. This time, the US shifts tactics to get their weapons into the plant. They target 5 Iranian companies, specializing in industrial control systems. The updated Stuxnet worm uses those computers as a gateway to once again find its way into the Natanz facility. For weeks, the malware does nothing but observe, recording every detail of the usual routine. When it's finally ready to strike, it starts by sending fake signals to the control room. To the operators, everything looks perfectly normal. But behind the scenes, chaos unfolds. Stuxnet sabotages the centrifuges by taking control of their frequency converters, the systems that regulate motor speeds. Stuxnet starts altering the centrifuge's speeds. The frequency converters usually operate within a safe range of 807 to 1207 Hz. But Stuxnet pushes that frequency up to 1410 Hz
You see that?
and then slams it down to a near standstill at just 2 Hz, before stabilizing it briefly at a moderate 1064 Hz. And then the cycle starts all over again. This constant speeding up and slowing down causes extreme wear and tear. In total, Stuxnet is believed to have temporarily disabled at least 1,000 centrifuges at the Natanz plant. Estimates suggest that the malware has set back Iran's nuclear program by as much as 2 years. However, some experts are skeptical of that claim. They believe Iran's nuclear efforts were able to recover rather quickly from the attack. Either way, the goal seemed not to have been to destroy the
It's just an inconvenience for them.
program in one dramatic strike, but to slow it down and buy time. Stuxnet was never meant to escape the confines of the Iranian nuclear facility, but clearly something went wrong. The problem was most likely a bug in the code. Apparently, Stuxnet infected the computer of an engineer at Natanz. When that computer later connected to the internet outside the facility, the worm failed to recognize the change in the environment and began spreading worldwide. This global outbreak blew any chance of keeping the weapon under wraps. Given the scale and sophistication of the malware, it didn't take long for experts to suspect a state actor, most likely the United States and the CIA in particular. Leaks would soon back up those suspicions. A US general allegedly shared classified details with the New York Times. To this day, neither the US nor Israel have officially admitted to having been involved in the development and use of the Stuxnet worm.
It's very sus, huh?
Stuxnet marked a historic first, a digital weapon capable of physically destroying an industrial facility. Nothing like that had ever happened before, and to this day, no attack of such scale has been repeated, probably because operations like this require immense time and resources, with little guarantee of causing lasting damage. In 2021, another suspected cyber attack hit Iran's nuclear facilities, allegedly orchestrated by Israel, but like Stuxnet, it failed to permanently derail Iran's nuclear ambitions. According to the US Secretary of State, Iran is now dangerously close to having enough material to build a nuclear weapon. Whether they will actually build one remains uncertain. Iran's newly elected president continues to claim the country has no interest in nuclear arms.
And everybody knows that everyone's building is secretly, but